We've got the bunk over top of the driver's seat, and it's wonderful to be able to have something like that. We have a king size bed in the back, which is also wonderful. But what I find not so wonderful, the mattresses. They're terrible. I don't like them. It's just a personal choice, but I'm not a fan. One of the things that I do enjoy is that there's a small fire extinguisher. I personally would like to have a much, much larger fire extinguisher. That's probably maybe a 5 pound fire extinguisher, which is not bad for most needs inside your RV. But I want to have a much bigger one because if something goes wrong, odds are it's not a small go wrong, it's a big go wrong. Because if it's small, I could probably fix it without you breaking out the fire extinguisher. However, that's not 100% guarantee. So I want to have something that is 100% guarantee. So that if the motorhome caught on fire for whatever reason, I've got a 20 or 30 pound fire extinguisher that could knock that fire out. That's what I want. I am not waiting for someone to come and rescue me. I am simply getting that what I need to get done. I'm doing it as quickly as I can and the best that I can. And that's what I'm doing. Figuring things out. We've got a 9 by 18 foot mat outside, which you saw yesterday in the other video. And it's one of those ideas where we want to have that big of a mat because we want to have that area covered so that we can have a space where if our feet are dirty or sandy or anything like that, the sand is going to get lost in that carpet, or not carpet, but on that rug. And it's reversible. So it's wonderful that way. It's the kind of thing where we want to constantly be working on little things, constantly be figuring out little things. Like something as small as the radio. We didn't know the radio actually shuts off completely. I only thought that it muted. So I muted the radio, and it turns out if you push the power button and you hold it, it actually shuts the radio off. I had no idea. The whole screen goes black. I had no idea that was a thing. So that was interesting when we discovered that. We're looking at plugs. There's 2 plugs down here. There's plugs over there. There's plugs all around the entire RV. What's really nice is that we're starting to utilize some of this space. We're starting to utilize some of the RV amenities that we didn't have before. We're just brand new into RVing. We really don't know what we're doing. And a lot of the things that we're stumbling over are very silly and trivial and ridiculous and laughable to people who've been at this for 2, 3, 4 years or 5, 10, 15 years. It's laughable to them. But for someone who's brand new and didn't know anything like we were, who didn't have an actual walkthrough, knowing that the power button shuts off the entire screen, not just the radio, but the backup camera and all of that stuff comes on the same screen. It's like knowing that. So when you turn off the RV, it stays on. We didn't know why it stayed on. We only knew that once you shut off all the power to the RV, that was something that actually happened. What we're doing today is we're working on smaller things. Like we're looking at the vents. And I'm thinking we could go one of 2 ways. One is we could get a vent insulator, which is, yay thick of insulation. And it's got Reflectix on the top and it's got a nice white on the bottom. So when you push it up into the vent, it prevents all that heat from pouring in. At the same time, not only does it prevent the heat from pouring in, it prevents light from coming in. And it's not dark in here, but it's not super bright either. Because watch, I'll turn on one of these puck lights that I just played with last night. And you can see that gives off a fair bit of light. And it's one of those ideas where because that gives us so much light, it's a little bit darker in here. So we want to explore more. We want to enjoy more. And like I said, this is not a how-to channel. This is a what we learned kind of a channel. Here's what we're learning as we go along. We have the quick connect for propane, and we have a firebolt, and they both have regulators. And apparently when you have 2 regulators like that, it's just not going to work for you. So we have to take the regulator off of the firebolt so that we can have a quick connect hose that we can put into the RV. Like, what a wonderful idea. At the end of this trip, we're going to have to find somewhere like a Costco, and we're going to have to go there to get the propane refilled. We're going to have to figure out the black tank for the very first time. We're going to have to figure out all the little doodads, and we're going to have to refill the fresh water because we've been using quite a bit of it. And, it was winterized, and then they put in another Another kind of water that honestly comes out a little soapy. I'm not sure what it is. It's a little less pleasant tasting. It's supposed to be potable water, but they didn't use a water filter, I tell you that much. So when we go to do this next, we're using a water filter for sure. And we're going to be talking about all the little doodads and the little things that we have that we're using. We're going to talk about those things as well as we go ahead and use them. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be exciting. It's not a how-to channel. It's the what we discovered channel. What we are discovering. It isn't necessarily what you are discovering. It's what we are discovering. So it's one of those deals. That's what we're coming up with. That's what we're doing. So hopefully you stick around. Hopefully you find it enjoyable and entertaining. And we will talk to you again soon. Until then, take care.